Hello, I'm Carolyn Jenkins, a member of Grassroots Media Group, a not-for-profit corporation dedicated to bringing awareness of issues affecting people throughout the African diaspora through news reporting, analysis, advocacy, community media training, and educational forums. I'm joined by another member, Michael Howard. Today, we are privileged to have Mr. Eric Edwards, founder and the executive director of the Cultural Museum of African Art located in Brooklyn's historic Restoration Corporation. The collection of artifacts number over 3,000, with some dating back thousands of years, and is the largest collection of African art in New York State. So let's start. Tell us, Mr. Edwards, or is it okay if we call you Eric?
That's fine.
Okay. For those of us who are not familiar with the museum, give us a little background on its formation.
The formation and the creation of the museum has taken place over what I characteristically tell people, a short 51 years. I started putting the collection together with no idea that I ever was going to open a museum in 1971. It started by the acquisition or purchase, if you will, in what we now know as Soho, but at the time, for me, was just downtown Manhattan in a gallery on Broome Street, not far from Houston Street. And it was a piece that I purchased for $300 for Sanufo maternity woman, meaning that it was a mother with child sitting on a birth chair, and it was a piece created by the Sanufo people of the Ivory Coast.
Okay, thank you. And I made a little error here. I neglected to introduce your project manager.
The strategic project manager.
Strategic project manager. This person is very important in his growth and informing the museum. So could you give him his name is Eddie Gajada, and he's the strategic project manager. Now you can continue. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Eddie is invaluable, and I believe he was brought to me by the ancestors themselves to help me continue and complete my work. The museum technically was established in its legal entity in 2014 as an educational institution chartered by the State of New York Board of Regents, and at the same time, subsequently in the following early 2015, it became its own 501c3 nonprofit organization. The collection consists of over 3,000 artifacts encompassing all of the 54 countries of Africa. Many pieces are thousands of years old, and the purpose of the collection is to unfold and put voice to the artifacts, and our programming is to put voice to the artifacts so they themselves can tell you why they were created, when they were created, how they were applied, and how they were important to the people that created them, and how they were an incredible part of their culture and ethnic visibility and interaction to the rest of the world.
Okay. Now tell us, where does most of your collection come from?
Well, as I said, the collection encompasses all of the 54 countries of Africa. I've been asked as far as the predominance of the collection, what ethnic groups or countries, and I would say, just as a short list, the Yoruba of Nigeria is a prominent part of the collection. Many pieces from royal families and incredibly unique and rare pieces that you will see nowhere else in the world, because of the relationship that we have with royal families back in Africa that has been developed over the many years. And then I would say we also have many pieces from Gabon, if you will, and those particular ethnic groups from the Gabon, such as the Fang and the Punu, and I can go on and on as far as those amazing people and the artifacts that they created. Also, we have a major collection of pieces from the Cameroons, such as the Bamileke people, the Bamoun people, the Basham, Bacham of groups, and so forth. We have an amazing collection of pieces from Sierra Leone, where many of the important women's secret societies created pieces to educate young girls to become women. And those artifacts that tell their story and their history and their importance to us and why we should be interested in them, to give a window and guidance, as all of the collection does, into the insight and the intellect of the people who created them and for their purposes. We also have major pieces from the Congo, such as the Nkasia pieces, those pieces that are used for spiritual healing and redemption and problem solving. Those particular pieces. Also from Ghana, if you will, as far as the Ashanti and the Fanti people of Africa, and amazing instruments that they created. And also we have a pair of Ashanti king slippers encrusted with gold that we acquired, I would say, probably in around 1975, which to my recollection are the most, an awareness, is the most amazing pair of African king's sandals you'll find anywhere in the world. We have pieces from South Africa. We have pieces from amazing collection of pieces from Guinea, and the Baga people of the Guinea, and incredible craftsmanship they have displayed in making drums and instrumentation. We have pieces from Chad to show the incredible ability of Africans to work with metals and bronze smithing, and the development of the lost wax method, which was created in Africa to create some of the most amazing pieces of artistry and craftsmanship with metals that you can imagine. We have incredible collection of weapons in the collection that spews throughout all of Africa. And needless that I say, as I discuss this with you, from the kingdom that's come into much world awareness as we speak now, thanks to incredible artists such as Viola Davis in The Woman King, and that amazing woman. We have pieces, original pieces, from the kingdom of Dahomey.
Wow.
And also, which we now know as present day Benin. And so this amazing ability in craftsmanship and technical ability to create bronzes and amazing artifacts in brass and other metals. I can go on and on to each and every country from north, south, east, and west are artifacts that we have in the collection. I've been given, I believe, an amazing gift, as I've been told by others. I don't endow this upon myself as by any means, but I've been told this by people who are experts in the field, that I've been blessed with amazing eyes to pick out amazing pieces and to put within the collection. Many of and most of the pieces within the collection are rare, very rare, one of a kind. We have many pieces such as the palace drum that comes from the Yoruba of Nigeria that stands approximately 7 feet tall, and it has approximately 300 Abeji figures carved within it. And for those who are not aware, the Abejis have or the Yoruba, excuse me, have the highest incidence of twin births, natural twin births in the world. And it's renowned. And this drum belonged to the Oba or chief himself, if you will. And I was able to acquire this by doing good things for Africa. To have this drum placed in the museum collections for the purpose that we're embarking upon now, to open a museum in Brooklyn to share with the entire population, but specifically people of African descent, so they will know their history and where they come from, and be aware of the incredible talents which is exhibited through the pieces in the collection, of the skill sets that were brought here over 400 years ago, and those talents and skills covering across the board in architecture, building, harvesting, metalworks, and more. Those skills and craftsmanship that were brought here by them to build the United States, to help build it to the amazing power that it is now. This country has been built on the backs of Africans, and we are very much, the diaspora is very much in part and synonymous with the creation of the United States.
Thank you so much. Anybody who's seen this collection can confirm exactly what he said, how phenomenal this collection really is. It's not to be missed. Now, one other question we have here is, could you describe the oldest artifact in your collection and how it was obtained?
Well, I can say one of the oldest artifacts in the collection, which gets a lot of admiration and notice, is it's a bust of a Nubian royal woman that we have. This is carved out of granite. It's incredibly heavy, which is the way the Nubians did that. Now, Nubia is what we know as present-day Sudan. And this particular piece is amazing as far as the coiffure of her hair and her styling and the power of her face and her gaze upon you. And if you look at her at a glance, she looks like a woman that you would see walking down 125th Street or Fulton Street in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant. But upon further gaze, you realize it's an amazing, incredible carving, if you will, out of stone, which is granite, which gives you, and it's dated to be over 4,000 years old.
That's what I'm talking about. That's of interest to me, something that's that old. And how did you get it back into Brooklyn? I mean,
well, we plan in the museum to do, after we open the museum, we plan to do 3 books on the collection and the creation of the museum itself.
Okay.
One of the books is simply to inform people of all ilks and hues and ethnicities about the importance of collecting African art. It doesn't have to be artifacts, but it should be art, and it should be created in Africa, just to ensure the continuance of the thought and the perspective of and focus on Africa itself and its importance to development of people, and particularly young African American children, as far as knowing their history and being a window to their history, which we intend to make sure that this is what the museum will accomplish through its collection, curation, and the educational programs that we have built to surround the artifacts and to present to school children, which we do now under the Department of New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, seniors under the same discretionary processes of the New York City government, but to make sure that young people know their history, where they come from, what they have contributed which is displayed by the evidence of the collection. Because what the collection is, it's evidence. You know, we can write many books. I'm a reader of books. I love books. That leads me to the truth in history as well as the rest of us. But you must have the artifact to put evidence to the story of why your story is real and true. This is what the museum does. It changes lives. The collection changes lives. And it gives young people a purpose to know that they are somebody, they have done something, there's no excuse for failure, and their ancestors already did the things that we're talking about. So they have to take it to the next level. And that's what's important to us.
Okay. Now, one of our questions that came about was, how does the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture differ from your museum?
Well, I would say, first of all, in general, for all museums, I grew up as a young person, very young, as a museum gazer. I always loved going to museums.
Thought so.
And I love gazing upon all types of art. I'm a lover of all types of art, but my life's past has put me on a trajectory and a focus to collect artifacts of Africa because I felt that's where the name was. That gave me the most enjoyment, and to share that with other people. So that in context, I'm an incredible and respectful lover of the Schomburg. I've been there many times, and they are a repository of our history and all the accomplishments of people of color and of people of the diaspora and descendants of Africa. But the Schomburg's focus, which I respect and I totally believe that there's a need and requirement for, and they do this better than anybody, is to be that storage house of the history of African Americans, going back primarily the past 400 years of indenture and servitude under the slave umbrella and emancipation from it. And they tell that story, and it's a story we all need to know exceptionally well, and it's a blessing to have the Schomburg. What we do in the Cultural Museum of African Art, we go back pre-slavery. We go back thousands of years to the essence of the beginning of man and womankind, and with the evidence to put forth to show what we have contributed because of slavery and all that entailed. It has been a major effort over hundreds of years to deny us of the true history of self and ourselves and our contributions. And by default, that has befell upon our younger people to believe that they came from nothing and have nothing to offer. And they've been convinced of that lie. We will change that narrative. We have changed it in many young people as of today, and our intent is to change it worldwide, starting with Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And that's the difference. What we're going to do, we're going to tell the complete story and its relevance and why people must know it.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question. Can you describe your feelings when you found out the museum was being funded, when you got that message?
Well, I guess if you mean the message from the New York State Assembly,
Exactly.
that they were going to give us a grant for $1 million
Right.
to open the museum.
That's the feeling.
And it was a relief. You know, if you're a jogger and you're running a 26-mile marathon, and when you get to, I guess, the 23rd mile, and all of a sudden it dawns on you that you're going to make it to the end, I guess that's the best analogy that I can give to my relief, to know that this museum is going to happen. And that's all that was important to me, to know that we were going to get this done. We broke ice and this is the first institution, thanks to the New York State Assembly under the leadership of Assembly Member Stephanie Zinnerman, and the support of the Speaker of the New York State Assembly, Carl Hastie, that this was going to happen, and we knew we would make it all, everything else come together, because that was the kernel or the spark for the explosion that we needed.
Good, very good.
It took a lot of courage for Assemblymember Zinnerman, especially as a brand new Assembly member. I just want to add that. To put herself out on a limb for the museum when no one else was willing to do that, and as well as the Speaker as well, Speaker Carl Hastie. So, I mean, special thanks to Assemblymember Zinnerman and Speaker Carl Hastie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure their constituents will remember that also.
Absolutely.
That's very good. Okay, one more thing. How did Medgar Evers get involved in the museum?
The story of my relationship with Medgar Evers is quite interesting and heartening. I mean, you know, everything happens as that expression goes in its time and when it's supposed to happen, and I firmly believe that. We had the opportunity with Medgar Evers College approximately 10 years ago, a little bit over that, as far as them approaching us through professors within Medgar Evers College and student body at the same time, synonymously, to approach us to say, we would like to have your collection in Medgar Evers College, and what can we do to make that happen? So by the staff at Medgar Evers and the due diligence, and I'll mention one person in particular because he really poured his heart out to try to make this happen, and that person's name was Carl Luciano. He tried amazingly to make that happen. And when I see Carl to this day, I always tell Carl, you know, Carl, we almost did it, you know, because he brought in at the time the president of Medgar Evers College, which was I'm trying to think of his name now all of a sudden.
Was it Rudy Crew?
Rudy Crew?
Not Rudy Crew.
Edison Jackson?
Edison O. Jackson.
Yes.
I don't know why that escaped me. It should never.
That was
Edison O. Jackson. And Edison O. Jackson was convinced he would make that happen. And we went through all the steps in like a year and a half of planning. But at the last instant, it didn't happen because Edison O. Jackson had to leave Medgar Evers. And the chancellor at the time was the only person within the realm and the hierarchy that didn't want to approve the final plans for that. But like I say, things happen in their time because here we are over 10 years later, and we have students from Medgar Evers now under the leadership of Dr. Ramsey, as interns, and also students from Brooklyn College that support us. And the museum has grown in quality, in stature, in expansion, in its collection, because our museum is a living museum. I don't believe in dead museums. When they're important items to add that help tell the story of us and who we are, and what we have accomplished and what we have given, we will move mountains to make sure those pieces are represented within the collection. And that's exactly what has happened. And so the collection is more powerful than it's ever been to tell our story.
Well, you just answered part of my next question, and it was, can students and communities volunteer, can community and volunteers contribute to the museum?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, they can. We, you know, we're doing the build out as we speak at Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration for the Cultural Museum of African Art, and we're definitely in a fundraising mode. And you can contact us at our website, which is cmaaeec.org. to make contributions or to offer your services. or you can contact my strategic projects manager, who is sitting to my left, who's been an incredible and invaluable resource for the museum, Mr. Eddie Gajita, to see how you can help, because we don't turn help away.
Thank you. That's
wanna
good to
add-
know.
I just want to add also in terms of, you know, the community outreach. There's incredible community outreach that we've been doing all over Brooklyn, all over the city, as a matter of fact, right? There are folks that contact us from across the country and across the globe.
That's
You know,
nice.
because there's such incredible groundswell
Right,
and
right.
interest in what is going on with the museum. There's educational program that's going to take place. Like Mr. Edwards mentioned, since 2014, when the museum was founded, workshops were taking place. But since 2017, working with New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, workshops have gone on in senior centers through the Sukasa program, and then through DCLA's CDF program. That's the CDF. We've been doing work in schools, you know, K through 12, as well as local colleges and universities, as well as other community groups that we've
Churches.
engaged, churches,
Yeah.
all across the city of New York. So there's a lot of work to be done, and as we grow, we will need many more volunteers and many more community groups that are collaborators with us. Our goal is not to be the only organization. We are just one of the organizations, and maybe we can do our part to bring as many organizations together, you know, in this wonderful diaspora and community.
Great.
And I'd like to add just one thing as an invitation to all that are watching, that we are doing a wonderful, thanks to the support of the Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. We actually had the grand opening last night, or the reception for the Brooklyn is Africa exhibit at Brooklyn Borough Hall, which continues from today, which is February 24th through March 3rd. Through this weekend, it will be open to the public on both Saturday and Sunday. And we'll have extended hours. I believe it's going to be on, I don't know if it's July.
Wednesday. On Wednesday the 1st, March 1st.
March 1st.
Yeah, till 7.
So we invite you. These are just some of the flyers for it that they were created by Brooklyn Borough Hall. Please come out and you'll see a synopsis, a small piece of our collection, which is about 40 pieces, but they'll knock your socks off, I guarantee you. And we have all the information there that you can discern and read to get an insight into what's your history and why this museum is important.